Hi, this is Tracy Sparrowhawk here, aka the Skinny Mama, and I'm here today. I'm just sitting outside waiting for my daughter who just dropped her off at soccer practice. And look, it's still light outside. This is fantastic. It means that spring is coming and the warm weather is on the way. It's actually a nicer day here today in Saskatchewan, which has been bone-chilling cold all of February and into March. So it is warming up. I think we're on the upside of the temperatures, so let's cross our fingers and hope that's the case. Anyway, I read an article recently and I thought I'd share it with you because it is getting warmer out and people are thinking about, starting to maybe get more active and thinking about getting in their garden and going for walks or runs as the weather gets warmer. So, when we start doing a little more activity after we've maybe not been so active over the winter, we might run into a few injuries. So I just wanted to talk a bit about that, like what kind of injuries might happen and how they can happen and how to prevent them and treat them. So before I get going into the content, I have two things. One, if you are liking my channel, please hit the subscribe button so that you will see all my videos as they get posted, and also hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when I post another video. And I have a gift for you at the end, so if you want to just keep listening, I'll share it with you at the end, and I hope you take advantage of it because it might help with your sports injuries. So, as far as exercise goes, it is recommended that we get 150 minutes of moderate to vigorous exercise per week. And you can break that 150 minutes up over the course of the week. You don't have to get it all in one day because A, you're asking for trouble if you try to fit that much in at one time, and B, if you're really busy like I am, it's much easier to try and get in a little bit every day as opposed to, just do it all in a couple days and take the rest of the week off. So what kind of activities are they talking about here that are moderate to vigorous? Well, you can go for a brisk walk, you can go swimming, you can get outside and rake the leaves or go bicycling or do yoga, any type of activity that's going to get you moving for at least 20 to 30 minutes. And, just by moving our bodies a little bit more than what we may be accustomed to can bring on some injuries. So, according to these statistics in Canada anyway, 35% of injuries occur during participation in some type of sports or exercise. So it's really common to get injured while you're doing any kind of physical activity. So you just have to be careful and take a few precautions. So what kinds of things cause a sports injury? Well, you might get injured if you try to do too much too quickly, like I was saying before. You might overestimate your fitness and ability. So if you were like a real track star in your younger days in youth, or maybe you used to work out really hard a few years ago, and maybe you think you can go that hard after being not so active, well, you might run into a few issues there if you overestimate what you can do. You might not be preparing, as in stretching enough, or you might be using poor technique. So you want to make sure your form is good, and to prevent those injuries. You might be using poor equipment and not paying attention and causing accidents. So, how to prevent these activities? Well, there's things you can do that will prevent injuries when you're doing activities. So the first one, of course, is the most common sense one, is to warm up and stretch before your exercise. So warming up is just doing some nice, easy stretches, maybe moving in place a bit to get your heart rate up and your blood circulating and your muscles moving. Make sure I like stretching, just, bending down and touching my toes and just doing that nice long stretch. It feels so good, especially up the back of your legs, your hamstrings. It's really good in the morning. The next thing that you want to try is to slowly increase the intensity and length of your workout. So like I said, if you were somebody that is used to going hard and you haven't been for a while, you want to start off a bit slower and gradually build up the length and intensity of your workout. You want to wear appropriate clothing and protective equipment, especially if you want to participate in any high contact sports. You want to learn the correct techniques when starting a new sport or activity. Now, if you are starting weight training, for example, you could go on YouTube and check out how to do different exercises. You could hire a coach or a trainer that will show you how to do the exercises properly, or work out with somebody who's experienced in that sport. And also after exercise, it's also important to stretch your muscles as well, because you want to flush that lactic acid out of the muscle and just make sure that you are, cooling down properly. Now, there are some common injuries that we get when we're exercising or doing sports for the first time. So basically, if you feel any pain while you're exercising, it's best to just stop. If you keep exercising while you're injured, you could cause more damage to the injury and make your recovery time even longer. So if you're noticing any pain or strain, then just back off and stop. Common injuries when you're exercising are mostly strains and sprains. And you can manage these types of injuries with a technique known as RICE. So that's RICE, and it stands for, R is for rest. So you want to rest the injured area for a period of time. I stands for ice. So you want to wrap an ice bag in a thin, damp cloth and apply it to the injured area for 20 minutes at a time. So you want to repeat this at least 4 times a day for the first 48 hours after an injury, or longer if swelling continues. Then the C stands for compress. You want to apply an elastic bandage or a KT tape around the injury if there's swelling, such as in an ankle sprain. And E stands for elevate. Try to elevate the injured area above the heart. So we had experience with this recently. My daughter injured her foot playing soccer in practice right before our provincial tournament, and she couldn't play. So she was doing a lot of resting, icing, compressing, and elevating for a few days. So sports injuries can happen no matter what age you are. Of course, we know that. I'm speaking as an adult who is not typically as active as I used to be. So the potential for injuries there is higher than if you're younger. And younger people tend to bounce back quicker from their injuries than us old folks. So we have to take it a bit slower. Now, if you're still in a lot of pain, you can use over-the-counter painkillers like ibuprofen or Aleve, something like that. If it's really bad, you can go to a physiotherapist to treat your injury, and that might actually help you get back to your activity faster. And the physiotherapist will also help you learn how to avoid injuries in the future. Now, if you get hit on the head or you fall and hit your head and you get a concussion, that's a serious thing. And concussions, they're, of course, are very common in physical activities where there's contact. But even in the wintertime, just walking, if it's very icy, you can fall and hit your head and end up with a concussion. So if you do fall and hit your head, you want to seek medical help right away. Once it's safe to go home, you should focus on recovering from your injury. Now, a concussion can be mild or it can be more severe. It just depends on how hard your head was hit and what area it was hit and what happened. And it's also different for every person. So most people will recover fully, but it will take some time. And some symptoms can last for days, weeks, or longer. And when you're in recovery, try not to do too much too fast. You want to get plenty of rest and sleep to help the brain heal. And as you start to feel better, you can gradually and slowly start to return to your usual routine. Some things you want to keep in mind when you're recovering from a concussion is to avoid activities that are physically demanding. So you don't want to do sports or heavy house cleaning. So hey moms, if that you can always claim a head injury to get out of cleaning the house, hey? Or any heavy exercising. Now, you also want to avoid activities that may require a lot of thinking or concentrating. So working on a computer or reading, and sometimes watching TV is even hard on the brain. So I know my nephew got a concussion from playing hockey, and he was out 2 weeks. No TV, no school, no reading, no playing on his phone or even looking at his phone at all. So it's pretty serious stuff. Now you want to check with your doctor to find out when it's safe to drive a car, ride a bike, or operate heavy equipment, and when it's safe to return to daily activities. Another thing is to not drink alcohol if you're recovering from a concussion. Now, when do you need to get help? Or medical help. If your injury is very severe, such as a broken bone or a dislocation, and you'll probably know because of the amount of pain, you should get urgent medical attention. And if the pain and swelling is significant, it does not get better in 2 weeks, or it gets worse even with treatment, go to your doctor. So as you're recovering and you're getting back into your activities, make sure you're taking that extra time to warm up and stretch. Learn the correct form for your exercises, and also be careful, keep an eye on what's going on, and work out with a partner if that will prevent any injuries as well. So those were my tips on sports injuries, because like I said, we're probably thinking about spring and getting back into doing lots of more things outside as the weather gets warmer. So this is just to help you prepare for that and avoid any injuries that can be prevented. Now, something that you can do also, if you are wanting to get more active and you're trying to get healthier, I have a list of foods to avoid that will help you lose weight fast and easy. And another thing about these foods is that they are, some of them have anti-inflammatory properties. So if you do have injuries due to sprain or swelling, these anti-inflammatory properties will help relieve some of that, get rid of that inflammation. So I highly recommend that you grab my ultimate checklist of the foods to avoid. The link is in the description, and you can just check that out and see what you think. And so thanks for staying on the video and popping on, and I will see you again on the next one. Bye.